I'm also worried about being jobless at 22 years old, having a lot of anxiety because I'm an introvert. Oh man, dude, you are so me. When I was 22, I was born 1972. So when I was 22, that was I think I just graduated McGill University, and it was 1994. And I lived in Ottawa and I worked for Accenture. Accenture, sorry, that joke never gets old. Great company, by the way, but just fun to say. But I remember I was a programmer, and I loved to code. And I remember I would program for like 10 or 12 hours a day. And I was in this zone, like with horse blinders. I didn't hear anything. I loved it. It was like a video game. I just downloaded it again because I got a new gaming PC and I modded up everything. Looks like real life. I'm a nerd. I talk a lot. Let me go on here. Okay. Back on track, Chris. But I remember I would code all day long, and I would go out to parties. And I was usually a social guy. Like I was president of my fraternity and all this stuff. But I was nervous and I didn't want to talk to people. And I became that notion of a techie that doesn't really talk to other people like a brain on a stick, or at least a stick. And so what I ended up doing eventually was I started challenging myself. And you always have to move to open spaces or challenge yourself whenever you're fearful of something. Because I promise you, if you're scared of something, the competition is much more scared than you are. And so what do? Well, you condition yourself to love that fear. And I know that sounds out there, but like for me, I was terrified of social situations, and I was very insecure. But then eventually I told myself, I just don't care what people think. I'm just going to be me. And as Dr. Seuss said, those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind. So you got to run to your fear, push yourself to get into those social situations, and you will no longer be an introvert. That's right. If you're scared of presenting, public speaking, then I want you to run towards your fear and conquer it, because your competition won't, I promise you. And so I was terrified of public speaking for years. And the way that I conquered my fear of it was I did the scariest thing. I went to jail. Okay, the pause is done. I went to jail to help these poor guys that had deadbeat fathers that did something I probably would have done if I didn't have my father guide me the right way. And so I went to jail and I started giving speeches. And dude, I got to tell you, that was a terrifying experience for me. I was scared. I was like, oh my God, now I have to give this speech. What do I do? And so I stood there and I thought to myself, not anymore, Chris. I'm never going to be scared again. I was terrified, right? And so I gave a speech. And again, the speech was supposed to be about faith, confidence, all that great stuff. And I said this. And they were looking at me like this, all these inmates. It was terrifying. I said, do you believe in God? And the inmates said, yeah. And then I said, does God believe in you? And the inmates said, yeah. And then I said, well, if you don't believe in yourself, then you might have to question your faith. And then what happened was they started uncrossing their arms, and they opened up to me. And no longer after that period was I ever scared of giving a speech again. So the bottom line is, whether you're an introvert and you're scared of social situations, or you're terrified of math or accounting and finance, or you're terrified of public speaking, I promise you your competition is just as terrified. They're just not saying it. And if you run to your fear and you conquer accounting or social situations, so you don't have to be an introvert anymore if you don't want to be, and you run towards presenting, then what happens is you condition yourself to love it. I think, therefore I am, like the Rodin sculpture, and you'll never be the same.